G'day punters, welcome to the deep dive. It's Monday morning. We have got plenty of racing to get through. We'll start at Flemington, we'll move to Randwick, including Mark Rhoden's absolute masterclass performance there on Saturday, before we swing by Doomben, catch up with Ciurleo, and we'll get into some Q&A at the end. We've got some good questions regarding early versus late betting, so I think there's going to be a fair bit to get through in this episode of the deep dive. But we'll start with Jack Dickens at Flemington. Dicko, we saw a couple of nice horses resume there over the weekend. We've got the unofficial start of spring, as I like to call it, next week with the Lawrence. And by next week, I mean this week. Next week's the Memsey, or is it the Warwick Stakes? Now the Wink Stakes. I'm not sure. There's a lot going on. But take us away with what happened there at Flemington.
You've confused me and probably our listeners there. What's happening?
It's the unofficial start of spring. It's the Lawrence Stakes this week. Get excited, mate. Come on.
Where's that at? Caulfield or Flemington?
It'll be Caulfield.
Righto. Yeah, the biggest... Shane?
Oh, just like how you blame the viewers for being confused when you had no fucking clue what you were even thinking about, but you blame the viewers.
I think I'm the same as the viewer, and
sorry, viewers.
Want to know what should I bet on and what am I going to bet on? Not who won this race last 3-4 years, etc. But anyway, we live and we learn. Back to Flemington on Saturday, guys. Turret, which was one of the bigger grey ups. I spoke to Jacko about it. Like back in the day, I would have just backed this horse because it was very, very good versus the bias at Sandown. There was no other horse that won from where it did. John Allen's and John McNeil wasn't a negative. I thought the outside draw, the way the horse rolls, probably suits it. But when we get to the method we use to price races, it was just nowhere near a bet. And you know, I spoke to Peter about this for an hour or whatever last night. And I think even with a fair bit of manipulation, it still probably couldn't get to a bet, which is something I need to figure out with the way I price. But it's returned the biggest figure of the day. So the eye was right, I guess, Rhoden. I don't know how you handle that, but what would you suggest that you do there?
I'd stick with what's working for you. You can't back every winner.
Yeah, that's what I'm sort of thinking. So it's returned an enormous figure of 11.8. Really, really nice ride, John McNeil. He is like airborne. Some of them, obviously, he's had a little freshen up, and it seems to really suited him. Reverse could be said for Luke Curry, who looks like he's just a little bit older and just warming into it still. He will come good, but he's just not there yet. The second biggest figure of the day at Flemington was Groundswell first up, so it was a pretty nice performance. This horse probably follow it with some confidence. Hosier just ticked another box, didn't it? Like, didn't learn a stack, didn't run an enormous figure, but ran as fast as it probably could have run given the race shape. And the astrologist was good again. I think it was a solid meeting without being enormous. There was some disgracefully slow tempos through the day, like unbelievably slow tempos. Like the Ciurleo form and race is just mythical. The second race they've gone so disgracefully slow that you just don't know. I don't know what you'll do with that race. And maybe you lean on the SPs out of that race. And then the last race, this D'Aguilar, and didn't the Golden Tonsils TV he declared this as his best as it loaded, and then about 400 out he declared that it was winning and the punters were going to go home a winner, and it's a bloody big win because it's on paper you think D'Aguilar wants tempo, wants to run over top of him, and it's got no tempo here and it's gapped him. So too good TB, great call again, and maybe it's a horse with some upside. I think you can keep following Turret. I think there's a couple of winners like Zorro's Dream, Sunfall, and Ciurleo that was their birthday and no more. Hosier, I think you just got to sort of stick with, don't you? Like it's done nothing but win. And I thought Too Good Too Hard was a pretty good run. Maybe was at race 8. It was down the straight. It was a nice run. I think it's in for a decent preparation. There was a little bit of money sort of in the early markets and then a little bit again on the day to suggest the horse is going pretty well at home. I think they're a bit of a camp that doesn't mind a spec.
The Stokes Yard.
Particularly Tommy.
Full stop?
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Dickens. We'll move to Sydney because well, Mark Rhoden, you said earlier that you can't back every winner, but you basically did.
Yes.
Yeah, you lied.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't back every winner. I only bet in 9 races, not all 10. But,
Okay.
Did you regret that? Did you regret that Saturday night?
Well, I didn't even do the form on the highway, but I did have a look on Saturday night, and it was $3 favourite with J-Mac on, and it was very, very easy to find.
How sick are you, and how sick are we as a breed? You've backed 9 winners from 9 races, and you spent Saturday night looking at the highway and going, "Fuck, I probably should have backed that."
10. Yeah.
Hey,
that's how you improve, I suppose.
Exactly.
But
the pursuit of perfection there.
Pursuit of perfection. Look, we can't expect every day to be like that, but there are a few factors that certainly helped. A dry and very close to fair track. I mean, it wasn't just dry. This was a genuine 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do they call it, a soft 5?
No, I think they upgraded it to a 3. It was probably a 2. But, Paul Ely's run 62.04 for 1100. That's quick.
Yep, the raw time certainly gave it away pretty early in the day. Now, look, that was one of the key factors I wanted to talk about, because on the previous show we were talking about wet to dry and how that was sometimes easier than going dry to wet. Just run us through a couple of little bits and pieces that you're looking for as a punter when you're doing the form on a wet to dry card.
I think, well, Jack was talking about before about sort of the old way. You used to do the form, Dicko, and I think from the chats I've had with you over the years, you just used to love unsuited to suited.
Yeah.
And I think wet to dry is the ultimate example of unsuited to suited. And I'm not talking about soft 5s and 6s. We're talking. We've had some 10s and stuff in Sydney in recent weeks and months, and now we're going to what might be a 2 or a 3. That's a big shift, and it works both ways. So you get the horses who, and it's not necessarily that they are legless on wet, but they're certainly better on dry. That's one, but it's the reverse too. We saw some favourites there on Saturday, particularly the first favourite, Larkspur Run. It was like about 3:30 into 270 hard to get. Clearly the one they wanted in the race, and it was coming off. It was coming off a huge figure at Canterbury on a heavy 8 or something, and it was also fast lane. So that was just suited to a totally different scenario on Saturday. Now it was absolutely slaughtered, I must say, and ran last. So that was actually a total forgive, but. You couldn't back it at that price, with those changes, and you're getting 2 sets of switches. Put it that way. That's why wet to dry is such a good setup for me.
Okay. Do you worry about like the wet tracks though? Sometimes I feel like it doesn't give them a good enough base fitness wise and a hard enough run to sort of bounce off it. They can be sluggish off it.
Yeah, maybe.
Like you'll see sometimes in like Victorian horses will come down for the autumn or the spring.
Yeah.
Or Sydney horses will go to Melbourne and come back, and they'll come back from the Melbourne tracks which are firmer.
Yeah.
And dominate on those soft tracks. First bang run.
I think that would also have something to do with the state of the tracks at track work too. They're able to get more solid work into them on drier tracks, obviously, than heavy tracks. Obviously, they'll work on a synthetic or whatever, but I think working on dry grass tracks is probably better for their fitness. I don't know. Look. The big winner I backed last week, Mirror Vision, it was wet to dry. And the start before it had run on heavy, and it sat outside the leader, looked to be travelling, and just gave up, right? So now, fitness-wise, that's not going to do anything for it. It just didn't test itself at all. But it was 5th or 6th up by last week. So fitness wasn't an issue, but just going from floundering on a very testing wet track to a dry deck, that was enough of a plus for it. So fitness didn't come into it. Maybe for horses earlier in their prep, if they had one run on a heavy track and run nowhere, they might not improve second up on the dry because they're not fit enough. But if they're deeper into the prep, I wouldn't worry about it.
I assume it was just a case of, maybe a bottle of red with the missus and a couple of darts because we're in lockdown. But if we weren't in lockdown, what would you have done? and then what would Rhoden have done 20 years ago?
Well, I don't know what I would have done because the whole, into year 2 of lockdowns, has sort of just changed my whole mindset socially. Even if the pubs were open, I don't know how long it would have lasted. But when Richmond won the prelim in 2017, beat GWS on Saturday night and made the grand final, I think I got home late Sunday afternoon, and that was only 4 years ago. So, and still was up on Monday to get my grand final ticket too. So that was a good couple of days.
Yeah, outstanding. All right, Randwick. We'll just get your performances of the day and maybe a horse or two to follow.
Yeah, look, don't know about horses to follow. There are a couple of lit up sectionally. Hightail, who I had a little bit on in the missile at 25 to 1.
Yep.
It's actually come home. I mean, it's a slow run, weight for age 1200, so they are going to dash home. But it's broken 11 in running 6th or something in the missile, so it's going okay. Stinking old Hulk has lit up the clock again, coming back from last in a 1100 metre race as per fucking usual. So don't follow him because he's going to do it every start for the rest of his life. Get back and run on and break your heart. Now, but the race the race of the day was the Rosebud. Now, Paul Wheatley has got everything go right and bolted him. The late sections were very good. Ran that very fast raw time, and of course the one no one's going to miss was Remark, the Wellback favourite, who had no luck. Very hard to quantify whether it would have won. I think it would have made it very interesting with a clear run. I mean, whether it would have won or wouldn't, I don't really care because I was on the winner.
Yeah.
But, I think the trap could be... Look, I'll say for a start, he's better than I thought he was. I thought he was priced on potential on Saturday, and I'm very glad he had no luck because he would have given Paul Lilly a race at the very least. And I've backed 3 around him, so I've been a bit lucky there. He's certainly better than I thought. But again, because he was favourite, because he's been poleaxed, he's going to go up very short next time, I think. And he might not be a betting proposition. The unlucky runs off the tapes, the market never, ever, ever misses.
Yep.
The only way to get an advantage doing video is looking for real hidden stuff, like blocks, checks, wides, everyone's. They are the first thing priced in.
Yep.
There's absolutely no edge at all of that. Look, if I was still doing my old job at Sportsbet, next time Remarks in and I was putting up the price on a Tuesday, I'd say, right, what price do I think it should be? 250. Right, I'm putting up 210 because 100 million people have black booked it and they're just going to back it. So just put it up.
Oh, it's
Just put it up
fascinating.
as short as you can with a straight face.
Oh, you've got 2 new huge fans too. We've got 2 blokes on Saturday who started renovating or building my shed.
Oh, yeah.
Cave. HQ. And they just started, because I would go out there for the Sydney races basically, because it's right in the middle.
Yeah.
They are big fans.
That's good to hear. This old workers' cottage here in Collingwood might need a bit of work done at some stage too. So,
well,
Where are the good horses in Sydney, Mark? Like Fobbiters ran right up to its benchmark 82 form in Brisbane in the rating that it produced to beat them in the missile.
I thought.
Is everyone waiting for the Everest? Is that where the good horses are? Where are they?
I don't know. I read this morning that Joe Pride's setting Private Eye for the Everest Golden Eagle double. So if he walks away with $20 million with that horse,
So basically anything that can gallop a bit is all going to be just everyone's going to produce at back end of the spring because that's where the money is. So all these spring races are complete shit.
I've got a story for you, an internal one that will just grey us up for the rest of our lives, girls. Holyfield runs around in the Everest.
Surely not.
No.
Imagine.
Fobbiter was running the Ramornie was good. This is a Group 2, isn't it? I mean, the Federation of Bloodstock Agents would be very, very pleased with the pattern that this is a Group 2 race. It's an open set weights and penalties race. It's got Colding, who's a good horse, Fasika, who's a nice mare, and Fobbiter with the fitness edge turned him over, and they knew. Did you see the totes? It was $9 on the fair with 2 minutes to go. That's why I sent it out as a bet, because it was on the drift. And the U-turn in betting in the last 2 minutes was extraordinary.
I'd chase it down too. But
you've had too much on again.
Well, I had to fucking win somewhere.
But, not a vintage Group 2 race by any means. And as to... I spent a lot of time in the autumn carping and whinging about the quality of the weight for age racing in Sydney about a day of a very elegant, not riding well. But who cares? They're just races. They put a market up, and you try and find the winner.
Life's good if you've got like a fast, fair track for once. Fuck.
Yeah.
Helps.
Yeah.
Could be having midweeks at Mully.
Well, this week we've got midweeks at the midweek Metros at Newcastle, the Thursday Provincials at Scone, and next Saturday's Metro is at Kembla.
Holy Christ.
Thank you, COVID.
It's amazing how they've sacked Rose Hill because they've had to, and then Randwick's turned in one of the great days pattern-wise in recent memory.
Yeah, maybe they should just race on it every week. And, well, they haven't ordered it too. They were, because it hadn't rained for so long, I think they put 1 mil on. So if this had been high summer and they had no rain, they would have put, 3 inches on or something and stuffed it. But because it's winter, because the nights are colder, they couldn't bring themselves to put any more than 1 mil on, and that's why we've ended up with a good track. The fairest track I've seen in ages. I just wonder if anyone's whinging about it because it was firm.
Oh, I think everyone in Sydney's whinging about all sorts of other shit.
I think that's fair to say. All right, thank you very much, Mark. We'll head up
They can still play golf, though.
We'll head up to Queensland for curls. You're calling it a disaster class. Do you want to elaborate?
Not really. Anyway, it's been a pleasure betting. Don't think I'll bet ever again. Start with race 3. The favourite, Tremonto, was pretty strong, firmly backed, I suppose. It was $3. 63 days between runs, no trial. I'm going to bet against it every time, whether it's that horse or any other horse with that setup at that price. We backed Contemptuous and Kavak. They've run 2nd and 3rd. Contemptuous has bled 1 nostril. Don't know if that means anything. We backed a winner on Friday at Ipswich. I think we backed fell in Nauticus. I thought it ran below expectation, and see it bled as well. So I don't know if it's a thing or what. Got to have work something out around that. So anyway, that was a big betting race and come unstuck. Race 5, we had a good bet on Wham early in the week at a good price. Complete fucking disaster from the jock on this horse. He got crossed early by a horse that was over racing, and he's absolutely fucking petrified of the fence, this kid. As soon as he lands the fence, he's just trying to get off. Could have comfortably just sat in the right spot, just behind a good tempo, got off the fence, tried to get up near the speed again. The horse itself has gone out negative 7.3 and got run down and just hit the front. I went to the front again, and it still had the audacity to run the 3rd fastest last 200 of the race. It should have fucking won. End of. Move on.
Yep.
Slaughter. And I'm not going to preface it or post text it by saying I don't like bagger jockeys or especially young kids, because I do. I do it all the time, and I'll continue to fucking do it. Race 7 now. So clever. We took a good early price, and then I just averaged out late just because I only had half a bet earlier in the week. Now, it's ran as good as it can go. It got beat by Hidden Hail, so maybe it's just not as good as what I thought this horse could be. In saying that, I mapped. See, Hidden Hail's a horse that's just free running, can't restrain it. It's just got to go at the same tempo, basically. It'll run 2 600s the same speed, basically. And that's just how he rolls, right? So I've had mapped number 12 Far Too Easy with a bad jock, gate 1 leading and wanting to hold the fence, and Hidden Hail outside it, unable to be restrained, running along. So Clever just tucks in, gets a suck and just gets over them. And Far Too Easy's missed the kick. Hidden Hail's run to the top and just run as good as he can go, and that was just too good for So Clever, who had its chance with the weight, with 54 in the run in transit. He's run as good as he can go. The map just didn't work out for him. So as it worked out, the market was completely probably completely right in the obvious race shape that it looked to have, but it just didn't eventuate that way. And then the horse is probably exposed to be not as good as what he had, shown, or as good as the potential that was priced into that runner off his previous couple of efforts. But it is his first prep. He'll probably go to paddock now and come back and win a No Metro.
Just on that horse, Curls, John Moore's obviously just resumed or started up again in Australia. How's he gone to start his Queensland training career?
It's very limited amount of runners, but they seem to be running well, consistently. And I think as his numbers increase and as these horses come through the stable, he'll be 20% winning strike rate type trainer.
Yeah.
Consistent, I think. That leads us to race 9, which I think was the last betting race for me. I'm still not sure on this. There's a couple of lessons out of this race. Don't penalise Brad Stewart for Matt. He will just put them wherever he wants. This Wits End has been in good form and was definitely a great chance, and it was a good price, but the price was more than fair because it was drew a wide gate with plenty of speed inside him. So sort of no one anticipated he'd be able to just bang it outside the leader and then dictate the tempo. He did deck James Orman at the 800 to get there, but that's what B. Stewart does. He's just a freak. He puts them wherever he wants, and he doesn't give a fuck. The interesting one for me, and I probably at the time I was a bit dirty, but on reflection it was probably gone as good as it can, and maybe that's just not quite good enough. We backed really discreet. It was $2 on the fair, 5 minutes to jump. Oh, that's not fair. That's not right. It was a little bit longer than that. Maybe it was 220. Last 3 minutes, it went 220 to 280. Was slow away and ended up in a bad position. I'm not convinced that it wins, but I am convinced that if it jumps and puts itself where I anticipated it would be, which would be having at Wits End 3 deep working around it and at worst sort of one out, one back. It goes close. I'm not sure that it wins, but it definitely goes close. It's probably gone as good as it can. And there's a few other horses here that didn't have a really nice, didn't look to have the right setup. Roman Aureus, who had the worst jockey that has a Metropolitan licence on it. It'll win with a jockey switch next start. Super Giant was going back from the gate. It ran super. It's cost a horse that'll improve at least 6 second up in the right race somewhere when the money's on. It's one out of that race. It went well as well. So it just wasn't the right. It just didn't work out right for really discreet. But at the same time, I think in this class, if those horses meet again, we won't be on it. Put it that way.
Okay.
Is where I'm at. I don't think that I would have necessarily changed anything from the Doomben bet from a betting perspective. We bet up in a couple of races, and Contemptuous went really close to knocking off the favourite. And that Wham should have fucking won. Simple as that. And that changes the whole complexion of the day. And then the two betting races in Toowoomba were, the first one was just complete slaughter and should have won, which would have made a big difference. And that second betting race was, well, it's just Toowoomba. How do you fucking even know? Like, they've led and they've started half the price that we've taken. They've led and coffined and never quickened from the 600, and both went pathetic. So, what do you do? I don't think I would have changed much, Pistol, really, from a betting perspective.
If you're not changing much, it's got to pack it up, move on. There's another week ahead.
Maybe. Excited, yeah.
We'll get to a little bit of Q&A. This is from Zach. I'd love to get your thoughts on betting early versus late. Obviously, if there's an overlay with your assessed price and you're happy with the odds of the horse, you'd usually take it early. But even then, it seems hard to be confident with so many variables off the table. Say on a Wednesday betting for the Saturday. On the race day, you know the track pattern, the track rating, and how the wind is playing. Also, waiting late obviously allows the punter to look at the yard, analyse the market for any significant drifts or firms, and bet into a low percentage of 101 to 102% late on Betfair. What I'm wondering is, does the benefit of betting early really outweigh betting late and maybe taking a slightly worse price but with the knowledge of all the variables? That's from Zach.
I've been doing some work on this yesterday, so I'll go first. And it's only relevant to my area. So I'm sort of leaning towards, after a bit of a review, minimum bet rules only been in Queensland for like 6 weeks, so it's a very small sample of data. But, sorry, when I say minimum bet rule, that's when the prices go up.
Yep.
So you've got, I don't know whether you call them pigs or grubs or troughs in snouters or snouts in troughs or whatever you
Hard
want to
workers,
call them.
grinders.
Whatever. There's Bet365 go up first, and like they're just into it. There's no waiting for something else to come up somewhere else, you know?
Yeah.
Just whoosh gut. So the errors, I feel like, and Mark's, I want to hear your opinion on this, I feel like the errors are less earlier on the Metro meetings. Midweek and Saturday. I'm fucking almost at a point of giving up betting early on Metros. Unless there's an obvious error.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to not say giving up, maybe increase my margin that I need to bet early.
Yes.
Yeah, but like I think like in Queensland, like you've had how many horses bled on Saturday that you backed? One and two others bled.
Sorry, Wham, the other one that should have won it, bled both nostrils. So
like you got that happening more than normal. You've got like horses that just drift and miss starts and that. You got so much more shit that goes on up there that you can't. There's no data to give you the tip that this might happen. So you're betting against that.
But I mean, like, from a Metro point of view, for provincials, completely different, I think. But, you know, provincials are only, like, for Queensland anyway, they're only the night before. So I've got a fair handle on what's running and what's not and where we can beat SP.
Yeah.
The Metro, like Wednesday for Saturdays, the errors are getting picked up earlier.
Yep. Where
the provincials, it's only the night before going up, so you can sort of, there's more of an opportunity to take advantage of those errors, where if there's any obvious errors go up for Metro, they're getting picked a lot earlier. So got to increase my margin of price differential to bet early on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
That's fair enough. Also, in any early market, it's got to be a decent over compared to your price anyway, because you're playing against the highest margin it's going to be.
Correct.
The market percentage is never going to be higher than at the start.
Yeah, which we've talked about before, Mark, you and I on this show. And I think that plays into, I think we picked 5% was about the number I used.
Yeah.
So that 5%, Zach, will factor in if we're completely off. Like in Victoria, I think it's reasonably true. Like they run to what they should, sort of thing. But if we've got it wrong with the track pattern or a bias or a number of other variables you've put there, that 5% can absorb a lot of that.
Yeah.
So we've got like enough of a head start. I'm just trying to read it again because I forgot what. Essentially, if I love betting early because the job's done. You can like sort of set it and forget it, and more often than not in Victoria, and like anyone on our products will back this up. We're in a better position than the price we took come the jump, which really allows us to then adjust better to a track pattern because we've already got a good position on the main horse we want to be with. So we might be on a horse that's going to be second pair or third pair. I'd often only want to get set early on a horse that's got some tactical speed. Don't want to be back on horses early odds all that often that are going to be worse than midfield because more often than not they're not suited. But we might be with that horse we really want to be with that's going to be 2 or 3 pairs back, and we took $8 and now it's 5 or 4, and then we can look, because we're in a great position, because we backed our opinion early, we're now able to have half a unit or a unit on the horse we half liked, and we've got about the market that's going to be 1A, and the first 2 winners were 1A sort of thing. We've given ourselves the opportunity to keep betting into a race because we've got a dominant position in it.
Yep, good point.
So I think there's huge upside to betting early, but when it gets to a point like it is for Shane, where it's just completely grey because people are just smacking them so quickly, then don't force it. Just wait. You got to go through. We've talked about this again, actually. Just go through your own process, and if the price is there when you're ready, the price is there. But it'll be what it'll be.
How does a horse bleed both nostrils and go out negative 7.3 and fucking get beat a length? The thing should have got beat fucking 5. It's gone enormous, Wham. I'm fucking not over that. That's me there earlier today. Doing the review. Look at me. See that shovel over there on my left shoulder?
Yeah, that's your right shoulder. Yeah, but
Not far off putting that over me fucking own scone there at one point.
You wouldn't be able to get much tempo to it though. Just get a bruise.
Congratulations. All right.
What else?
That's Q&A for Zach. Week ahead.
Thanks.
Let's have a look. What have we got in Victoria to start with?
Come back to me.
Okay. What have we got in New South Wales?
Questions to do. We've done them all.
Yeah, we've already gone for long enough. We'll get through them over the coming weeks. We'll have a bit of a backlog. So later in the week, BJ will get to your question, and then other Zach will get to yours as well if we've got a little bit of time. But we'll try and make sure things are spread out so we're not going for too long in any given day. Mark Rhoden, your week ahead. You did touch on it a little bit earlier.
Hawkesbury tomorrow. Metro Newcastle Wednesday. Provincial Scone Thursday. Metro Kembla Saturday with stakes racing at Kembla.
Yeah.
Interesting. And
the
Kembla Provincial's been moved to Goulburn. So bit of a novelty week. This one racing at a few different tracks that I don't usually play at, like Scone and so on. But just go through the process and see what we find.
Yep. Sounds right to me. Dickens?
We're betting at Mildura today. I don't know what we'll do tomorrow. It's a Ballarat, probably synthetic, so maybe one maiden, hopefully not, to be honest. But then it really gets busy. So we've got Sandown, Royal Sandown, Wednesday, Sale Thursday, Geelong Friday, Caulfield Saturday, and then Cranbourne, Coleraine Sunday. So that's an RDO, probably.
Well, they're racing at Coleraine every week at the moment. What's going on? They raced there yesterday and last week.
Only maybe yesterday I cottoned onto the fact that it's a Victorian track. I swear to God, I went to do the Kilcoy form. Yes, look at it, because I thought that was in Victoria for some reason.
Maps.google.com.au is your friend, Jack.
That's what I did. And then I figured out, Colerane's Victorian. Because I saw something or a horse that I knew. But it was just jumpers and heavyweights. Please.
Yeah.
All right.
We back to Tatum Bullwinner yesterday. That's how good we're going in Victoria.
And she give it an absolute teach too.
That's the best part, though. I don't know. Didn't listen. Just the phone just vibrates, and it's a lot of happiness. And I just kept having a few beers around the fire by myself.
And girls, your week ahead in Queensland.
Doomben Wednesday. That's the same track that we raced that Saturday.
Yep.
Whatever. Mount Isa on Thursday. For those who've got nothing on Thursday, watch a race at Mount Isa. Treat yourself. We won't be betting there. Saturday, depending what's happening with COVID, Saturday I'm planning on going to the Gold Coast for the Broadbeach Cats Old Boys Football Club race day.
Oh, fuck. Oh, shit.
Just depending on what's going on with COVID. But friends of the show got in touch with me and said, could you come down and run a bit of a punters club or something for us amongst your days betting if you've got time amongst it? And I said, well, Eagle Farm falls on that day, so this could work. See how COVID goes. Could be there. But we'll be betting anyway, so it doesn't matter. So Eagle Farm is a metro meeting. Gold Coast obviously is the provincial meeting as well, and November Saturday night. So just more of the same, really. But I'm going to win this week, so
Your favourite to win this week, definitely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
All right.
That's Queensland.
Very good. And WA is Belmont Wednesday, Northern Thursday, Belmont Saturday, Kalgoorlie Sunday, as per usual. Wonderful. Guys, thank you very much.
That is such a better week, isn't it, for your mental health? Monday, Tuesday off, then I can have 2 days on, then I'll have a day off to get ready, then 2 days on, 2 days off. You're like a FIFO or whatever they are.
Yeah, let's not get too carried away.
FIFA. No, FIFA's a soccer.
Yeah, I don't need to be drug tested for my work, that's for sure.
Christ, you'd blow up the thing. Pissing hot.
No, I'd be negative, which is a positive.
in a negative way.
Yeah, positive, negative. Okay.
Allegedly. All right,
Allegedly.
guys. Thank you very much. We'll catch up later in the week to do some previews for whatever's happening. We just mentioned what's happening this week. We'll talk about it then later in the week. Go well.
Peter's had a big weekend if you can't tell. Bye for now.